Welcome to the TalentGrow Show, where you can get actionable, results-oriented insight and advice on how to take your leadership, communication, and people skills to the next level and become the kind of leader people want to follow. And now, your host and leadership development strategist, Halelly Azulay.
Hey, Talent Growers, welcome back. This is another episode of the TalentGrow Show, and it's a new one, a new different kind is what I mean. The typical format that you're used to is me and an expert of some type having a conversation. And I'm definitely going to continue having those episodes on the TalentGrow Show. They're probably going to be the majority of episodes. But in 2018, as you know, this is being released the third week of 2018, I have decided to take a bold move and double my output, which means I'm moving from a 2 episodes a month format to a weekly format. And I thought that I would take the opportunity to experiment with some new types and formats of episodes. So in addition to the regular 30-ish minute interview, I'm going to be adding some new ones, and this one is one of those. I'm Halelly Azulay, your leadership development strategist here at TalentGrow. In case you're new, welcome. If you're a longtime listener, thank you for listening. And I really, really want to hear your feedback regardless, because this is where you come in. You help me tailor this show to meet your needs and to be perfect. Or, well, not perfect. Perfect is not so good, but really great. So I'm going to try with this episode to introduce to you a format called Ask Halelly. Ask Halelly will feature some questions that I have been asked by workshop participants, by members of the media, by people leaving me a voicemail on my website, which I hope that you will do, by people sending me emails or comments on social media, where people ask me a question about things related to my expertise, which is how to develop leaders, how to be a good leader, kind of leader people want to follow, how to become a better communicator at work, and how to develop your career and yourself. And I will then provide a brief answer to that question. And I love to hear what you thought about it. So you need to please engage with me. I need to hear from you. If you have feedback about this episode, let me know. If you have a question for me to consider for a future episode, I would love to. And in fact, I would love to hear your voice. If you leave me a voicemail and give me your permission, I can use your audio segment to introduce the question actually in your voice. Wouldn't that be cool to hear yourself on the TalentGrow Show? And then, of course, if you have suggestions for guests or topics, this is exactly what I want to hear from you. You're the listeners. This show is for you. So I will remind you at the end to do that. But in the meantime, let's dig right in to episode 71, the first Ask Halelly episode. So this is a 3-part question I was asked recently, and it's about how to develop new managers. How do you know who to promote, whom to promote? And then how do you help them grow? And this is exactly what I do for a living. I actually consult to organizations who want to create a thoughtful and strategic approach to developing their leaders. And I also do, of course, a lot of workshops around the country and around the world where I help to build those skills. So the 3 parts of this question are, what are some ways to cultivate new managers, especially young ones or first-time managers? The second part of the question is, what are some skills to look for when looking to promote people from the rank and file? And then the third part of this question is, what do company leaders need to know about developing new managers? So I'm going to answer these 3 questions one at a time. So the first one, what are some ways to cultivate new managers? I say give them hands-on leadership and management experiences in a safe context and provide them with an opportunity to get immediate developmental feedback and then iterate. A lot of times we throw people into a leadership role without really giving them a chance to learn and practice and get feedback. And the best way we learn is to get feedback where it's safe to make mistakes and to then go and apply that feedback and then get more feedback. It's a very iterative process. Now, in my book, Employee Development on a Shoestring, I suggest 11 different methods that employees and leaders can use to develop skills outside the classroom, outside of a training workshop or an online class. There are lots and lots of ideas, but here are 3 that I think are really great to get started with how to develop leadership skills in people that you're thinking are promotable. The first one is mentoring. I think that getting a mentor from someone who is already either within your organization or outside of it who has leadership experience is a wonderful way to connect with someone who can teach the new person, the younger person, or the less experienced person some amazing skills, and then actually coach them along the way and mentor them as they take on opportunities, come back with, this is how it worked, this is where it didn't work, what do I do in this case, and help them grow. But also, being a mentor is a way to develop leadership skills, because if you assign that person as someone else's mentor, they actually take on a sort of coach leader role, even though they're not necessarily in a title like that in the organization. They don't really have a responsibility to the products and services and the customers, but they do take on the role of a leader and a coach to someone else, and that helps them practice and grow. So mentoring, both being a mentor and being mentored. The second one I would say is volunteering. Volunteering is a fabulous way to get practice without having any kind of potential negative impact on the bottom line of the organization, because volunteering usually involves going outside the organization, taking on a leadership role, maybe in a local charity or in a local chapter of your professional organization or in your school district or in your place of worship. Any kind of organization that's run on volunteers would love to have your new leader volunteer to take on a leadership role in that organization. And that allows them to actually be in a leadership capacity, practice the skills, get feedback, apply the feedback, try again. And when they come back to the organization, the skills are being built. And so when you're ready to promote them, they're actually very ready. So mentoring and volunteering. And third, I would say, is leading in special teams or in special projects. So once again, it's a quasi-leadership role. It's not an official org chart change. You're not promoting them and giving them a new title and giving them a new salary. But if there's some kind of a special project going on in the organization, like maybe developing a new product or coming up with ideas to solve a problem or a process improvement team of some sort, they can take on a leadership role within that team, because it is a great approximation of what being a team leader is like in their real job, but it is more finite, it is more protected, and it's a great place to practice the new skills that they want to build hands-on, and then bring that back to that promotion that you're thinking about giving them. So that's my answer to that first part of the question. What are some ways to cultivate new managers, especially new ones or first-time managers? The second part of this question are, what are some skills to look for when you're thinking to promote people from within your rank and file? And I say that you should definitely promote for attitude, promote for a passion for the organization's mission and values that align with the organization's values, and character traits like commitment, dedication, and curiosity, because I think that the skills and the competencies for leadership can be learned. You don't have to necessarily have them already to become a great leader. Now, I do think you need to support people in growing and developing and learning those skills, as I mentioned before, some of the ways. But you don't have to have them already when you're promoting them, but you definitely need to have the leadership attitude and capacity and characteristics that I just mentioned. And so the right attitude will get them there better and faster, because they'll be committed to doing the work that's necessary to grow. I think the most ineffective reason for promoting someone, and unfortunately, probably the most common reason people are promoted, is technical expertise. Because by being a really great practitioner of whatever the role is, whether it is really being a great nurse or really being a great project manager or really being a great programmer or really being a great engineer, does not mean you are the one to take the leadership role and supervise the work of others. The other one that's really ineffective is how long you've been there, right? Longevity on the team is definitely not an indication that you are the most capable, the most appropriate person to promote into a leadership role. So that's the answer to the second part of the question. And now I'll go into the third part of the question, which was, what do company leaders need to know about developing new managers? And I think that new managers are often thrown in sink or swim, or thrown off the cliff to see if they can fly. I think this is a big mistake. It's extremely common, but it's such a waste of potential, because the idea of cultivating and nurturing them, asking the questions I just discussed and giving consideration to the ways that you can develop them is spot on. But just throwing them in and letting them flail and letting them fail is a waste, because those people are going to become demotivated. They're going to become deflated. They're going to become unsuccessful, which is going to cause them to not be happy in their job, which is going to cause them to be a terrible manager, which is going to cause the people on their team to feel very demotivated because everybody's demotivated by a crappy manager. And this is an entirely negative spiral that I see every day in my work. And I actually am on a mission to try to change this. So we learn by getting some input. We need to get some best practices from people who already know the way. We need to get an opportunity to try the new skills. We need an opportunity to get messy and make mistakes for it to be safe for us to make mistakes in the process, and to get developmental, supportive feedback from someone so that we can get back in and apply the lessons that we've learned, which means that company leaders need to provide a learning playground of sorts, and opportunities and encouragement and ongoing feedback with mentors and coaches, and tolerate mistakes that are good and a necessary part of the learning process. So there you have it. My first Ask Halelly episode, where we talked about how to nurture and cultivate new leaders. So what are your thoughts? What is your feedback to me? I also want to continue learning, so I need to know. What about this content? What about this format? What else should I do now that I've got twice the episodes to produce this year? Should I stick to only interviews? Are there other kinds of ideas that you have for additional formats for me to try? Suggestions, questions we can use on Ask Halelly episodes? You're a major part of the success of this podcast, and you are the primary beneficiary of its improvement. So I need to hear from you. On the website, on talentgrow.com, first of all, you can see the show notes for this episode, which is in the podcast section, talentgrow.com/podcast/episode 71. But also on any page of my website, there is a tab on the right-hand side that allows you to click and record a voice message to me. This is one of the best ways to get in touch with me. You can record a message with your suggestion, with your question, with your feedback. And of course, you can email me, halelly@talentgrow.com. I'd love to hear from you. So I'm glad that you came along for this episode and for the ride of 2018. I'm Halelly Azulay, your leadership development strategist here at TalentGrow. And this is the TalentGrow Show. I am so excited to have you with me, and I thank you for listening. And until the next time, make today great.
Thanks for listening to the TalentGrow Show, where we help you develop your talent to become the kind of leader that people want to follow. For more information, visit talentgrow.com.